Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Abby Van Meter, who is the nutrition assistant at the Nelson County Extension Office. And today, we're going to make some mozzarella sticks.
Yes, we are. So these
That
are,
sounds good.
Yeah, they're really good, and it's a lot of people, eat these at restaurants, or they try to make them for Super Bowl parties or any kind of basketball or football game.
And they don't always come across as the most healthy option.
Right, because usually they're typically deep fried with lots of butter and oil and that kind of thing. So we're going to talk about how to make them a little healthier.
Okay.
And they're also very kid-friendly, so the kids can actually help you make them. They're fun to make, and then a lot of kids like mozzarella sticks, so I don't think you'd have any complainers there.
Exactly.
And these are actually best if you make them and then go ahead and freeze them, so you kind of make your own freezer meal kind of snack.
Yes, that's
and that
good.
way, whenever you heat them up in the oven, they don't just completely melt. You can do it, right after you make them, but it is best to freeze them.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
All right.
So mozzarella sticks.
So
How many
mozzarella sticks.
That's something new and different.
So you just start with the regular string cheese, low-fat mozzarella sticks.
And you want to make sure it's low fat, right?
Yes. And then typically you cut them in half, so you just have a little thing, but if you wanted to make jumbo ones, you could. And then you start out with, you need 3 different bowls for the dipping. So you're going to have a bowl of flour, eggs, and then Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. The panko ones are a little larger. They're not as fine, so they kind of stick better, but whatever kind of breadcrumbs you prefer, have.
Okay.
And then Parmesan cheese. So it gives it a little extra cheese flavor, because I guess the whole stick of mozzarella isn't enough, but a little different flavor. So the good thing about this recipe is you don't really have to measure anything. You just kind of dump some things into bowls, start mixing, and go from there. Yeah, so we'll start with our flour. So you just add a little bit of flour to the bowl, depending on how many you're making, of course. And you can always add
And particular kind of just all purpose.
just all purpose, And then you're going to do an egg. So in this separate bowl, you have your egg in there. And then in the last one, you're going to do the breadcrumbs.
Okay.
And then you're going to put your Parmesan cheese in with the breadcrumbs.
Okay. So kind of a little mixture.
So a little mixture. And then kind of mix that up a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
That's looking good.
Yeah, all right. And so then you just have your half of your mozzarella sticks, and then you just go in order. So you dip it in your flour.
Oh, okay, so you put in the flour first.
Flour first.
Okay. Gives it a
And
little base,
then-
I guess, huh?
Yes, it does. We need to whisk up our egg a little bit.
Break up that yolk.
Yeah. All right.
And you want the whole egg. You
The
want the
whole
white
egg,
and the yolk. Okay.
All right. So you're going to get that. And this is a little messy, but the kids will, they like
Enjoy
kind
it.
of getting their hands dirty and messy. And
Okay. Yeah.
then you just go over to the breadcrumbs and cheese mixture and try to get it, pretty well coated. But
Yeah.
and then you just stick it on a baking sheet, and then you just repeat it.
Keep
So
going.
we'll do a couple
Okay.
more, and
So it's just the flour, egg, and the breadcrumbs.
yeah. And so you could kind of go from the egg to the flour. It might stick a little better, but this particular recipe called for this way. So
Yeah, because it coated pretty
Yeah,
well
it
with the
did
flour.
coat.
I guess that's interesting.
yeah.
Now, how long are you going to cook this for?
Well, these, if you just put them right in the oven, you would bake them at 400 degrees for about 5 minutes. So they're pretty quick. Now, if you froze them, then they would take a little longer to cook. Just kind of
Okay.
watch whenever they start melting, and then, but don't let them kind of melt
Go
all
all
on the
over
pan.
the-
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
it's 400 degrees for 5 minutes if you do it right away,
Yes.
but it's better to actually do this than freeze them.
Yeah, and you can just put them in a little freezer container or a plastic bag and get them back out and
And then
pop
pull
them in.
them out too.
Yeah.
And you can have like a certain lunch portion.
Yeah,
type of
definitely.
thing
Or
in
if you're
little
making them for
sandwich
a
bags.
Super Bowl party, you could go on and make them days in advance and then pop them in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, very good.
All right.
Thank you. And
Thank
that's for
you.
mozzarella sticks.
Yes.
Contact Abby at the Nelson County Extension Office to get the recipe to put that together.
Yes.
Something quick and easy and fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. This has been Gary White for Central Kentucky Television.